Trade shows, are they dead or are they coming back? Shut up. Hey, it's me, Baxter.
And me, Jonathan.
Okay, so we've been having fist fights all morning about this.
That's right.
All morning. And I've been losing. I know. Based on size, you think I'd be the winner of this. I'm the arm wrestling champ, not the fist fight champ.
It's true. Or finesse, you know.
It's like, it's the technique, and like I have this little grabby
roll
technique
the wrist, roll the wrist.
Wow, ooh, ah, ooh.
Okay.
It's over. So like everybody harps on this every year, and it kind of comes up. We haven't been to NAMM in a few either. It sort of stinks. So NAMM is one of our favorite things. I've always loved it. We keep praying that all of our manufacturers that we work with will go back one day.
And I sort of missed it a little bit this year. I had a little twinge of like, man, wish we were kind of there. When I was seeing the people walk around. I know, it's cool because like a lot of it's like fun. It's fun to see your friends. Yep. But let's talk about the economy, the economics of it, the logistics of it. Does it make sense in today's day and age? It's like I still like to think yes, but I'll get to that point later. You might think. Nah, probably not.
So we'll see. So the majors have all left.
Pretty much.
Like as far as the guitar world goes. We'll break into something out in section 2 in a minute, so stick with us. But so Fender doesn't show up. Gibson doesn't show up. Taylor doesn't show up. PRS doesn't show up. Those are the majors.
Right.
Martin shows up. Yeah. But in sort of in a small footprint built for...
Was Taylor gone totally? Or they just got rid of their big booth? Or sort of like skeleton?
I mean, every manufacturer has a few satellite people there. I mean, even I will give hats off to our rep, Jason at Gretsch. In Summer NAMM in the year of the pandemic and everything, that dude showed up on his own with a briefcase, was taking orders. It's tricky. So what is the purpose of NAMM for the trade show event? What would you say?
So people can come and make YouTube videos, and then you buy things at like really cheap, right?
Well, I mean,
wait a minute.
I mean, that's become sort of the purpose, right?
But it was like people who run shops like us could go talk to the manufacturers, make purchase orders for the year, figure out what new products you want to carry. It was that.
So let's talk about that aspect alone of it. So Johnny's right. So we would all show up. We're out there shooting our YouTube content as well, but then they put Baxter. And sometimes even Taylor would go, and like she would be like my assistant secretary, which is weird because it's normally reversed. And I would have to go to these meetings, and some are not really fun, some are really fun. But we'd go through all the new stuff coming off the lines. We'd walk the walls, and we'd pretty much do a big PO purchase order on the spot there at NAMM. And you would get guaranteed orders from your dealers every year, hands down.
Plus, you'd search out companies that maybe you wanted to carry, right? Or maybe like newer companies would try to attract you because they want you to carry them. That was a huge dynamic of it, I think.
I don't think we would have been Magnatone dealers without NAMM. Because like we would always, I remember the first year in NAMM, like I remember it was like 2015, 14, something like that. I remember going by and seeing their booth. I think it was 15. Like, man, those are cool. Man, those are cool. Then they walk by the next year, golly, those are the best. And then finally, let's do something.
Just talk to them, let's play them, yeah.
We ended up talking to Rod and the gang, and we sort of fell in love, and like they courted us a little bit, and then they cheat on us some. They see other people too, but it's okay. Two Rocks is similar. Well, I mean, I've always loved Two Rocks, but I really I'd go by the booth and like, man, this is cool. I remember meeting the team, Mac and Eli, and we weren't really ready for them when we first met them, probably, and they definitely weren't ready for us. And then eventually, it worked out because they weren't taking on new dealers. But because of relationships we formed at NAMM, when we were ready, they were ready for us too.
But you wouldn't have that relationship, right? Like there'd be no way to like have that sort of personable access without that.
No, and it's cool because like normally when you meet like the head of Two Rock too, he's moonlighting between like being one of the stars on Heroes and in Star Trek.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's difficult. So you have to be very careful with his time. That's another story. So that's the other aspect, right? But then we are shooting YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so it becomes an advertising frenzy for all these manufacturers too. They're getting organic, natural, sort of like, made videos from their own company. So it's a little bit more, sure. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these are still just like, company fodder that we all do and we all have to do, it seems. But, well, we don't. We get in trouble for whatever we do. So we do a lot of bad videos. Again, not bad, but honest, I suppose. No, but it's really good in that respect as well. So let's jump into, before we get into section 2 of this, what are the startups? What like, smaller companies, a startup company, they're ready to go to NAMM. Does it make sense for them to go? It costs a lot of money.
I feel like it did at one point, you know what I mean? But I don't necessarily think, I just don't know that it's what it used to be, right? I can remember going to NAMM before I was involved with like this side of actually selling things.
Right.
And I had no idea
that was going on.
The purpose of it, right? I was just like, oh, I get to go and walk in the things and I can't buy stuff? What, weird. But there were always workarounds, right? Like you'd buy it and they'd give you this weird purchase order and then they'd like walk out with the thing you bought. You know what I mean? But I feel like we hit this critical mass at some point, and it was probably before the pandemic, where if you were a startup company and you went and you caught the attention of the right, premier guitar or the right YouTubers or whatever, then you got your name out there and it was a great thing for you.
Yes.
But I feel like somewhere in there we have hit oversaturation, and now I'm just not sure the money you'd have to spend as a new startup company to have a booth.
Well, let's talk about the money. It's expensive to have a basement level booth. Like minimum for a table, you're spending like $8K, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe, so let's say $10K for a decent footprint. Small, not in the main floor. Then we'll talk about unions.
Well, and see, some of this started, I saw Mason at Vertex has posted a video, and he was talking about like $20K to go and have a booth, right? Because he's saying that you got to use, and I wasn't super aware of this, you got to use union labor to like plug in your, electrical things or like to put your tables up, which is probably true, because California's crazy. Well, and I don't think, Mason's necessarily just making that up, but
if you haven't checked out Mason, he's got a great, great business obviously too, but Vertex, but great YouTube, fun stuff they do on the interwebs. Check them out.
Gentlemen of the boards. I don't know if that's what it's called.
Is it chairman of the board?
Chairman. I don't know why I call it gentlemen.
I like.
They are gentlemen. They're fine gentlemen.
They were really nice. They were when we were on their channel once, and they were much fancier than we are.
That's true.
I feel like they're like much more put together.
But I mean that's a lot.
20K.
That's including like your travel, your hotel, all those labor fees,
minimum.
everything.
When you have the major companies, they're spending $250,000 to $500,000 to more to set these events, and they're taking everybody out to dinner. It becomes a very expensive thing. But I have not done a PO like I did POs for major production pieces, non-custom, since NAMM stopped for the majors.
Because you do them all on that little shiny, squarish thing. You probably have never seen Apple products before.
We use only Apple. We're waiting for our Apple sponsorship to come through. Thank you.
We're trying to bring awareness to their brand, their startup. But anyways.
Disturbing. Well,
yeah.
So what Derek was talking about before, and then the logic of like when you go to NAMM as a small startup too, and as a big guy, as a major, your cost per impression of what you're doing as far as like, a physical impression, an online impression, a click through, that's how you have to sort of factor in your time and money spent to go there. It is expensive. Hotels are premium, food's all expensive and not that great. Bathrooms are limited. I say use the maternity bathroom, it's a hack.
So you just said cost versus impression, right? And I think, I don't want to be like, come across as snobby, but anyone who's been to NAMM, there are booths you see that you walk right by and you're like, this sucks. Because it's just boring and it's plain.
Too,
you do feel for them because I think, and now I know they've spent so much just to come, right? But like to make that real impression, you have to have something cool, something that makes you stand out. You have to have fancy, it's just, it would either be a lot of time making, building, creating, or money buying the fancy sort of setup.
Or booth babes.
Or that.
They're booth babes.
Either way. Sometimes into like, remember the coffin case?
Yes, you never forget the coffin case. God,
those like really tall shoe things.
Trying to get my wife to get some of those. She's going to be performing a marriage for some friends of ours. Oh. And she's the marrier.
She's the marrier?
Yeah, they've asked her to do it because everybody's sort of sick of me doing it. But now,
Marrier.
Marrier.
God,
she got this
a marrier mayor.
I want the coffin case girl platform, 8-inch heels. I'm set.
Next time we'll have our wives be coffin case girls if we ever go again, and just follow us around.
That'd be awesome. And just carry like a binder for us, like one little binder. We never use it. We don't use binders.
No. It's the affair. Or
so let's be real though for a minute. Now we live in this guitar-centric universe where everything is guitar related, and we're like, it's all dead. There's no chance of anything.
It's all that matters.
Let's talk about it. So, Fender is a huge brand for us. It's a huge guitar brand. Like check it out, over $1 billion in sales.
Right.
That's huge, right? True. Now let's just put this into a little frame of reference. Samsung does, just for consumer electronics, which is also involved in some of these things. I think we're getting to roll into a bit. Samsung does about 50 billion.
Yeah.
Apple does about 350 billion.
Right.
So the music industry is so small, and the guitar part is so much smaller within the scheme of things, because Roland and all these other guys that show up, the recording industries, the speakers, like, it's a huge part. Now we can say B&O got slaughtered during the COVID times, slaughtered. And so they've had a nice resurgence. So they're trying to show a footprint again and come back hard and strong.
Yep.
Drums are trying to come back a bit, but that sort of, they suffer the same slings and arrows as guitars, and not as B&O as much.
But I mean, there's even the whole, the section with like software and sections for like music education, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, we do have a very narrow swath of it, but to be the pessimist, I would just say, I would think trade shows just in general, maybe you're on the way out.
And I get that, and I do get it, but like, as an actual buyer of the goods, like both of us do it, we were more excited to get our hands on the stuff, and we'll actually do a PO.
Well, I love the idea of there being like this this convention where you show up and you get to see all the cool stuff and you get to see all your friends, and it's exciting. Like, I like that. So maybe it's just got to shift to where we do finally just, like, instead of pretending, oh, we're going to go and do POs and people are going to order things, and like, no, let's just release new products. They already let the public in, which I didn't even realize that. We were talking about it in our live stream the other day. Like, public can just go now, which is fine.
Well, it's fine, sort of, but then you can't do business.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's get rid of that sort of, oh, we're doing a bit. Let's get rid of that and just make it like this cool convention cheerleading thing, and like repurpose it.
Comic-Con.
Like Comic-Con.
Maybe if it has to be like you have
Guitar-Con.
Have more rock stars show up, have Slash show up, and have
I mean, obviously that's going to change like some of the because I know NAMM is big on like education, all that stuff.
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no one cares.
That's just talking to the birds in the clouds.
It's going to change that. It's going to change how it's funded, right? Like, it would have to change a lot of things fundamentally to become that.
I still think it could go back to the old-fashioned way in a weird way, because I think the manufacturers are all seeing a little pinch on their pocketbooks now, because sales are not what they used to be for them. Like, the orders are still there. Like, oh, we're doing great. Everybody says, it's the best ever. We're doing great too. But you can feel it. You can feel it a little bit. You definitely, the orders aren't flowing into the manufacturers like they were.
Right.
And they're honest with us, and I think there'll be a time where NAMM has to come back.
Okay.
I hope. This is but I'm also an optimist.
I'm not anti-NAMM. I enjoy NAMM. I'm just saying.
I like steak dinners with Donnie Rods.
Well, I do too.
Derek really does.
Got to have a splash of OJ in the margarita. That's the takeaway.
So let us know your thoughts. Do convention shows have a place? I mean, are they need to be consigned to the past? Is it just wishful thinking on us old Generation Xers that they should be a thing still? I don't know. Let us know. Let us know. Thanks for joining us. Click like, subscribe.
Hit the bell. In person.
You gotta come hit the bell. We have one like at Arby's. You ring the bell. I wonder if those guys hate that. I'm like, do you?
Please don't ring the bell.
So loud, obnoxious. Like, let the old white people eat their roast beef sandwich.
Sometimes at the bars they have the bell there.
Now I want to go to Arby's today. Great.
Market fresh.
Peace be with you guys.